Hey guys, today I want to talk about Zoom stock, and I see a couple of you guys asking me whether or not this is a good investment for the future. So I want to talk about what I think about the company, what I've been watching over the last few weeks, and especially what I said in my last video where I talked about them when they were actually around the $200 price range. So then to now is going to be a huge difference, and especially the way that I talk about them, what upwards room they have, and everything is probably going to be a little different here. So just to get started, I want to talk about what I said in my last video. And obviously at that point at around $200, they had tons of room to grow. Now, one of the main things I was trying to get through in that video is that even after the pandemic, even after this economic downturn, Zoom is securing a lot of contracts to the point where they are still going to be widely used by a lot of these companies. And just because the economic downturn is over and a lot of people are going to be out of their houses, it doesn't mean that the service has no more use. And it means that a lot of people are still going to be contractually obligated to continue working with this company. So I felt like that left them a lot of upwards room to grow. I felt like it left them a lot of options as far as what they could do into the future. Now, this company focuses on video communication, so it was obvious to me that they were going to take some sort of a hit if we did see maybe a lot of people heading back to work, potentially students stop using Zoom or etc. When we actually had the FBI step in earlier this year with a lot of the stuff that was happening on Zoom and with their video chats concerning universities and colleges. So that was a big reason why I didn't want to invest in Zoom, as the security of the company was being tested and actually challenged by a lot of people. So that really worried me and my investment. And unfortunately, I pulled out of this company around the $160 to $200 range. And it's one of my biggest regrets of this economic downturn recovery that we've had, this V recovery. And honestly, guys, I can't say it enough. This company has absolutely run. And I really regret not staying in my position. But at the same time, I would not open a new position at this moment. So let me explain why I still remain bullish and I still like the company Zoom as a name, as a business, like I was explaining earlier, but I wouldn't invest into the stock around this $510 range. So the first thing right off the bat that I'm seeing here on the chart with Zoom is that they were looking to break out of this small wedge here. You can see that I already drew it in. And one of the main things that actually concerns me is the way that they broke out of this wedge. Now, they had two things going for them when they did break out of this wedge. One is that they broke out testing the 50 EMA. And when a stock tests the 50 EMA, what it means is that they are basically having an upwards direction. And it's a very clear indication that they're headed in an upwards direction. So the fact that they broke out of this triangle while at the same time testing the 50 EMA is going to be a pretty good sign for me that they had upwards direction. Now, you can see that they did have a lot of upwards direction, about $20 to $30 here, almost 40. And as we've seen the SPY recovering, you can see that Zoom has also recovered and almost up to this second level, this second resistance, before reaching their previous all-time highs around 530. Now, like I said, this really concerns me because unfortunately, the very next day in after hours trading, they were not able to hold up this price. And what I'm seeing on some of the lower time charts, the 3-minute, the 5-minute, is that this company is unfortunately breaking down a little bit and not showing as much volume and momentum as they did in the past. Now, what do I mean by that? You can see that even when Zoom was up at the 450, 480, etc., they had some pretty exceptional volume here, especially on days when there was a rip or a rip was expected. You can see how high the volume peaked. And even all the way up to their all-time highs, we had some monster volume reaching for the stock. But unfortunately, even though we do have this very clear setup here for a breakout, for a bullish flag, they just did not see the same amount of volume. You can see that comparatively, it's more like a normal trading day in the past than potentially one of these breakout days. And that's what really worries me about their stock in the short term. And that's that a lot of people are realizing that at this $500 range, they are just extremely overpriced. Now, if you are in a long-term trade, if you did buy this company at $100, at $200, $300, etc., obviously stay in your position. This company has room to grow a little bit. I don't think they'll be the next company to reach $1,000 a share, but I do think that they can continue trading at this $500 range pretty consistently here. And honestly, if you are in a position, you might as well stay in because they might have more upside. Now, personally, I don't see them reaching above the 550 or 600 anytime soon. They have absolutely run up from where they were supposed to. In my opinion, they've run up more than they could possibly ever run up. And you can see that it's absolutely ridiculous that they were around $70 in March, and now they're all the way up at 550. This is going to be almost a 700% increase in their stock price. And for me, that's just too much, absolutely too much to come in on a play when it's already 600% up. Personally, I couldn't recommend that to anyone. And that's why, honestly, I want to recommend Zoom as a company to hold if you're already in on shares. But if you haven't started a position in this company in the past, I would honestly refrain from jumping in on this company. Now, doesn't matter if you see them have a 1-day spike, 2 days of spiking, whatever it is. I don't think that this company has room to run, especially not like other companies that we've seen kind of coming up here over the last few days. Now, a couple notable names that I would say: Work, Snapchat, Twitter. All these companies have turned to the upside, NIO, and even though they are small names, just think about how many more shares you could buy of a company like Work or NIO versus Zoom that is absolutely overpriced at the $510 price tag. So honestly, guys, I can't really say this enough. I would not open a new swing position on Zoom unless you're already in a previous position, unless you need to buy or short some kind of calls, whatever you need to buy the shares, then yeah, sure, open a new position. But at any cost, try to avoid this because this company has already run its course. You can see that we've had a lot of consolidation, and especially around this $400 to $500 price, seems like where the stock is going to settle for a long time. So that's why I wouldn't recommend putting a large chunk of your portfolio or your investment money into a company that doesn't really have a lot more room to run. Sorry if you guys disagree with this analysis. I know a lot of you guys love Zoom, and obviously me too. I use this company on a daily basis. I think they have a lot of room for long-term gains, long-term growth, but unfortunately, I would not recommend you to start a new position in this company if you already are not in a position for the reasons I explained: the lower volume on the stock, the fact that they've been consolidating for such a long period, and also the fact that they're already up 700% in this last few months. So it's absolutely ridiculous to try to come in on a upside trade in this moment when you know the stock is not at a discount, when you know that the stock is 600% up from its previous all-time highs, and when you see the market so volatile like it is now, where a lot of these tech companies that have been absolutely running up and being crazy on their valuation are unfortunately pulling back, like how we've seen with Apple and Microsoft and Facebook. So just keep a close eye out on these stocks, guys. Today was a little bit of a more unplanned video, but I had a couple things that I did want to get across about Zoom. And I know a lot of you guys might disagree with me, especially about opening a new trade. But fortunately, I'm not controlling your portfolio. You can do whatever you want. Now, don't forget, guys, the link in the description for my Discord, where I'll be putting out daily plays, daily signals, etc. for free that you can check out at any time. And we actually had a huge winner on there today, over 25% return on NIO. So check that out if you haven't already, link in the description. And don't forget to like and subscribe the video, guys. Thank you for watching.